Anyway, Billie Blackstone, welcome to the waiting room.
Yeah,
Hello.
drama. Huh?
Welcome, Billie. There you go. Signing
Terrible.
off.
Terrible.
Thank you for having me, guys.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Hello.
It's been
Yes,
too long since we
welcome.
all seen you.
I know it's been a long time since I've seen people from the music scene. It feels that way. A lot of people from the music scene whom I would see all the time, I just don't see anymore.
That's true.
That's how much our social lives revolved around just
I
our
kn- I
very
know.
select groups of people. We hardly see anybody
Exactly.
anymore.
People you live with at the moment. Yeah.
Sorry.
What have you been doing, Billie, if you're not meeting people from the music scene?
I have been hanging out with my kitty cats.
Who will be making an appearance on the show?
That remains to be seen. You know, they're very fickle about these things. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of teaching. So I teach English as a second language. That's my day job. So
Nice,
I've been
nice.
doing a lot of teaching. I've been doing a lot more writing this year. So that's been nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cooking.
As in, what kind of writing? What kind of writing have you been doing?
She's a musician. What kind of
Well-
writing do you think she's fucking doing?
Are you talking about music?
Actually, so yes, I have written quite a bit of lyrics this year. I have been doing some lyric writing, but I was feeling a little bit stuck. So then I started writing poetry, and I never really thought that I could write poetry for some reason. I always just thought of it as like a
But
daunting task, which is
you're a-
kind of weird because I'm
You're
already a
you're a lyric
lyricist.
writer. That is
I know.
poetry.
I know that, but you know, minus the music. So, you know, so I always kind of thought that I wouldn't be that good at it. But then when I started writing poetry, I found it to be quite a liberating experience.
Cathartic.
Indeed.
So
it's
somehow
big.
even more liberating than songwriting can be sometimes.
Probably because
Yeah.
with the poetry, you don't have the idea that this needs to be a song in your head.
Exactly. I'm
more-
not thinking
ca-
about a verse, a
There's no-
chorus.
Yeah,
There's no
how-
stanzas,
how it
rhyming, and all
how
that
it
stuff.
works live or something like that. It's way more personal when it's just you writing a wee bit of poetry. Like, so yeah, I completely understand that.
I think the habit
Yeah,
of writing is just good. Just writing, I think, is important. Just
Writing is
flexing your
awesome.
muscle. Yeah, just
And
flexing it.
that's something I've always done, actually. Like writing is something that's always been there, because I think when I was 13, I started keeping a diary. And especially when I was in my teens, I was writing almost every day. And it was all like my feelings. It wasn't
Yeah, of
like, oh,
course.
today I did this and today I did that. Well, sometimes I would talk about things that were happening if they affected my feelings, but it was just, you know, that kind of diary. So I think that's where my interest in expressing myself through words kind of started. Yeah.
Articulating
But yeah,
yourself.
so poetry is new.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great way to articulate your thoughts, and I've always found it to be a good way for me to understand myself better as well. So that's kind of where writing comes from.
So do you actually do it old school and physically write it down, or do you type it out on a computer these
No,
days?
of course I write in
Good.
a notebook.
Good.
Of course.
No, because you
Writing
see a
is
lot
like
of
writing an email, man. It's not the same, right? Like, come on. Yeah, it's gotta be this. You can do that. You can throw the notepad away, man. Screw this. You
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
You the laptop.
It doesn't get up. It
And
doesn't get uploaded
there's
to
a
the
lot of
cloud.
emotion in your handwriting itself, you know.
Oh, my handwriting
Yeah,
is
that's
terrible.
true.
I've got the handwriting of I'm not going to even insult 4-year-olds because 4-year-olds have got better handwriting than me. It's just
You mean you got a handwriting of a doctor?
no.
Which
It's
is
way
terrible.
it's way beyond that. Like I'm glad I've got a master's in archaeology because I would need it just to decipher what the fuck I'm writing. Like, because it's beyond hieroglyphs. It's just scrawl.
Killer.
It's just you can tell I suffer from anxiety by my writing because it's just spelling mistakes all over, scrawling out and stuff like that. There, so it's terrible. handwriting.
Yeah, the
It's a
next time
lot.
I see Derek drunk at Merdeka, I'm gonna pass him a paper and
Or
say,
maybe
"Hey,
worse.
Derek, write down your house
Good,
address."
good calligraphy is a lost art. Like I really appreciate good calligraphy. Good handwriting is a lost art. So this.
Do you guys actually think that you can tell things about someone's personality based on their handwriting?
Oh, I can tell by
Because
easily by
some people
mine.
believe that.
No, well, there is
There are studies on that.
Yeah, there is
There
there
are
is a
people who
term
can
for it.
actually do it. Yeah.
There used to be a
There's-
column in the Star. One guy every week will analyze writing. Of course.
There's
his
a term
column
for
is
it.
gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, in the Star. Crazy.
I used to have a book when I was in high school. It was called Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. And it was just like analyzing all these like handwriting by like different people and what serial killers' handwriting looks like. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The FBI
The science on its own.
use it. The FBI do use it in the forensics department, but and there's a
Yeah.
term for it, but I can't remember the term off the top of my head. But it is used on handwriting, like
Yeah.
supposed to decipher what you are as a person.
But for,
With it-
for
with it-
retards like myself and
with
all, I
it-
think you can
within
tell
context.
just by the size of the font, I suppose. What you, yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
telling my handwriting, and I'm a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Just go, what the fuck is that?
But
So,
that's interesting though.
yeah,
Growing
so
up, right, I used to go to Penang and go to the museum. You know, when you go to the museum and then they have all like these open books and all this stuff and these old ass documents, right? And then you see all this like real handwriting on it, and you'll be like, "Shit, what is that?" You know, especially the
old-
museum in Penang.
you old
Oh yeah, they
handwriting?
used to be very fancy in the past, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
the
did
old
that.
handwriting.
You old handwriting?
Yeah, old handwriting was like
Yeah,
very
proper handwriting, yeah.
spectacular.
But
Yeah,
the right
people really took their time.
Listen, if you were writing with a quill, your handwriting would be spectacular as well, because you would just feel
That's
fancy.
true.
You got this feather flying out. You're going, I can't write.
I mean,
scrawl,
you
it
have
has
to
be
make
nice."
it worth it, right?
Yeah.
You have to
But
like
there wa-
you have to honor the feather.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you
But
write
there was no
with shitty
internet.
handwriting.
There was no internet and keyboards, so
You know what? Maybe I think a lot of people these days are just out of practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's typing all the time. So then when they do
write,
write, their handwriting is just all over the place.
oh, it's terrible.
Now, I got a feeling the future kids will be like, I tried handwriting today.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
They can go to university for a special course on handwriting.
Oh man.
I can't wait till
The
Brendan's son
fucking
tells.
caveman.
I can't wait till Brendan's son comes back and tells him that from
Yeah.
school someday. I try and hide around today, Dad.
Brendan's what now?
Your son.
No. Brendan's
yeah,
talking
yeah.
dog maybe.
Oh
like.
yeah, no, your son.
Brandon's son.
Because Asmo's already got kids, so that they're ready. They're not at the stage yet where they're going to handwriting's a lost art, but
Oh
definitely.
no, they're doing cave.
Yeah.
My kids are doing cave paintings on the house wall. So,
Oh,
you
good
know,
stuff.
in the future,
That's
they
good,
know
yeah.
what happened in the house.
Excellent. So Billy, so you teach for a living, TEFL?
Cool.
Excuse me? Sorry,
TEFL,
what-
teach English as a foreign language?
Yes, I teach, ESL, English as a second
so-
language.
Back home it's called TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language.
Oh,
so, like,
foreign, huh? Oh, so
Right
as in
now your
Ireland, they
home
call
is
it foreign.
Malaysia.
Eh?
Here is second.
Right
They
now
don't
your
call it
home is Malaysia.
I simply don't
You-
come over here and pose like fucking you.
Yeah, I don't come here and say back home all. You're stuck here now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I am. So,
Homesick lah. He's homesick.
how is
It's
the
homesick,
teaching?
Teaching is good. I'm back to teaching in-person classes, but they're
Okay.
private classes, and I'm kind of grateful for it. After a few months of doing Zoom classes, I just need that real human interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite different. You know, Zoom classes, half the class won't turn on their camera.
Yep.
And I teach adults, yeah. This is not
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
I'm
it's
dealing
not
with,
kids,
but
no.
half the class won't turn on their
They prob-
camera. And they always
they
have a
probably don't
really
know.
good excuse. No, they know, but they always have a really good excuse because they're adults. So they always have like a really good excuse, so I can't even fight them about it.
I've been in conferences recently online, and you got these older guys, and they just can't figure out Zoom. You can hear like the
Ayo, so poor
kids or
thing.
so, but they figured it out. Yeah, but interesting. Yeah, teaching Zoom is just different, isn't it? Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the age group?
there's always a student with a screaming child in the background or
Oh
multiple
shit.
screaming children in the
That's
background. You
okay.
just have to mute constantly.
We've got a podcast host that constantly has screaming children in the background as well. It's okay.
The foreground.
Yeah.
It's mostly you, Derek. It's mostly you.
Well, Marina, I need to have a talk with Marina about that. Like, she just continues to interrupt the podcast all the time. Like, so there's nothing I can do about it.
Who? Marina?
Yeah, she pays the bills. Like, so what am I supposed to do? She wants to scream in her house. She can scream in her house. Like, it's
Oh, I thought you
nothing.
mentioned like that she had interrupted before. Then I was thinking, what? Oh my god.
play along with
Is
the
she
kids
there?
bedroom. No, she's in the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
She always goes into the bedroom when the podcast starts, which is quite nice of her. Plus, she's our biggest
Doesn't want
fan.
any
She
spoilers.
literally-
Yeah, I was just gonna say she doesn't want any spoilers.
She literally listens to the podcast every week when it's released. She loves it. She does. She thinks
We
we're
should
Aw,
hilarious.
we
that's
should do
awesome.
a waiting room care package thing and send it to Marina.
Say it to Marina.
Thanks for being
Oh,
our
wait,
number
wait.
one
I
supporter.
love
Oh,
that.
What would be in the care package? I'm curious.
That
Just a
would be
photo of the four of us. Like.
Very
Asking
different.
for a friend.
very
Hey,
disturbing care
photo
package.
keep it. No, photo keep it for OnlyFans. Yeah.
Oh, hey, the
Oh.
waiting room
Is that
has
how
to
you've
have
been
an
making money?
OnlyFans page.
Is that
Hey,
how
guys.
you've been making money this
Times are hard,
pandemic?
Billy.
Desperate
Times
times,
are hard.
desperate
man.
It's
Yeah,
all
about to-
coming out now.
Times are about to get harder.
No, Billy. It all comes out on the. It all comes out on the OnlyFans page. You have to pay. Do you see that? So like.
Yeah.
We might make money, you know. Who knows?
Hey, we only take euro, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not ringgit.
Can like can. It's a worldwide fan base.
It's Germans, usually Germans, and they pay in euros, so and they're good payers, so it's not too bad. Like, that's after dark waiting room, so it's good. This section of the podcast took a dark turn, so does, isn't it? Like, thank God for that.
So Billy,
Well,
this is
it wouldn't be
roughly
a
what.
podcast if it didn't take a dark turn at
No,
some
no.
point.
Yeah. So this is roughly what the waiting room is like.
Yeah.
It's kind of just all
Literally
over the place.
4 at 8 and a guest.
It is a literal waiting room.
It is.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a
Yeah.
real waiting room backstage,
Not,
you know?
not a waiting room in
Similar vibes.
Malaysia though, because everybody's too shy to talk to anybody.
You just look at
Hey,
your
should
you just look at your ticket and the number to
Yeah.
come up.
But come
Oh,
on, Brendan. Every waiting room in Malaysia is basically these people.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
so who's too shy to talk to who?
Who's too
Everyone
shy?
knows each other.
Oh,
So
Nice
is-
water bottle.
that's a big water bottle. 1.5. So drink 2 of those. You've done your quota for today.
So, Billy, let's take ourselves through your musical journey. Like
Okay.
we usually do this for our guests. We let them start off with their musical journey with it. Yours is a wee bit more clean cut because it comes from your mother, obviously. Like so, there's a kind of
In what sense? Oh, how did I get into
yeah.
music?
There's a natural line of where you came into.
I guess so. I guess so. But you would think that the idea to like be involved in the music scene or be in music would have started way earlier because of who my mom is, because my mom's a musician and I come from such a creative family. But actually, I didn't really think that I could do it until I was actually doing it. I
Oh,
never really thought I could be a musician or anything because when you grow up with a parent who's already so talented and amazing at what they do, and like when I was little, I used to go to her shows. So I was going to her shows from the time I was a baby because I was the kind of kid who did not like to stay at home. I was extremely offended when my parents would like assign like a babysitter to take care of me. I was very offended. So my parents actually had to like get babysitters to kind of just tag along. So they would hang out with me while like the adults are doing their thing. Like at a gig, my mom would be performing and I would be
Yeah.
like sitting and chilling with the babysitter there. I wouldn't stay at home because when they like the times that they did that, I was extremely offended.
Cool.
Yeah, I did not like it. So that was just my reality, like going to gigs, seeing music, you know, jam sessions at home. That was my reality and I loved it. But when I got into my teens, like, or preteens, I should say, the idea of doing it myself, I was very scared. I was very, I think I didn't have a lot of confidence because I was always seeing the end product, someone who's already put in all the time to be
Yeah.
where they are. And I was expecting to just be able to be that way. So I, yeah, so when I was a teen, I remember being like 12, 13 years old in my room listening to like my iPod, and I would lip sync. Like I would lip sync in my own room. I wouldn't sing because I was too shy. So honestly, now when I sometimes like I take a step back and I see what I'm doing, and it kind of surprises me, even though it shouldn't. Like it still surprises me because I remember who I was before when I was a teenager and I was too shy to even sing in my room. Most of my friends in high school had never really heard me sing before. And the couple times I did 2 performances in high school singing on stage, but I did it with a friend. I
Okay.
didn't want to do it if there wasn't another girl singing with me. Yeah.
So you could just harmonize off them or
otherwise,
something like
I
that.
was just, yeah, we would harmonize together. Then I was okay, but it was kind of it was I think I was having a bit of a complex because I was also a ham for like attention. I liked the idea of being on stage, but then I was too shy to do it. So it's like I want it, but I'm too scared. So that was me for a long time. And it was only once I moved to Malaysia, I finished I finished school in Singapore and I did my final year of high school here independently. So once I completed all my exams, my O levels, um, I would follow my mom out to like jam sessions. And a lot of people started at open mics, but I started more at those blues jam sessions, you
Yeah.
know, at places like Backyard and all that, because all the otais from the scene who my mom knew, or like some of my mom's contemporaries, they would encourage me to jam. So once it was like, you know, a certain hour, and like I had like some trusted aunties and uncles, then I would feel maybe comfortable enough to sing one song with the band. Yeah, but it took a while. I think it was after I met Sohail, and then we started, you know, learning music together. And then we had our first gig at Merdekaria. That was kind of when I started to see this as a reality, as like something I could actually do. I could actually be a musician and perform and you know and play gigs. Before that, I hadn't really considered it as a possibility for me because I never thought I didn't even think I was a good singer until like maybe a year or 2 of me actually doing music. Then I was like, okay, maybe I can actually do this. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
How did you
this
meet
band
Suhail
is
and
your,
how?
this band is your one and only band then? It's the only band you've ever been in?
Yes, it's yeah. So my band has been the only band I've ever been in, and I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, especially since I know that I was that little girl who was too shy to sing in her own room, too shy to sing in front of her friends, and the idea that I've had some of the experiences that I have had, like this year we went to tour in India. It's kind of unbelievable when I think about that. So when I'm feeling like, you know, like 2020 has been hard, of course, that's no secret. It's been difficult, you know, and times like this when I kind of feel a bit down and out, then I try to remind myself of like who I used to be and the kind of experiences that I have had, and then that makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah.
Cool.
Billy,
Adrian, did you have a question?
yeah, because you said that you know you were very shy, and then it wasn't until you met Sohail, and then you guys had your first gig in Merdekaria. So, was that the start of Billy Blue and the Nowhere Man?
Yes, that was the start of Billy Blue and the Nowhere Men. So, yeah, so I was very shy, and of course, I started to slowly overcome my shyness through like jam sessions, and there were one or two open mics that I kind of went to and like after being coerced by some friends, then like I would sing a song or something with someone, but I was still very like shy about it. But I remember I went to Merdekaria. The first time I went to Merdekaria was to see Aznan Aziz play, this guy who's one of my mom's contemporaries. And he's
non-blues. Yeah.
yeah, non-blues, yeah. And I've always been a fan of him because like I've been a fan of his because he's, you know, he's got that folksy Neil Young vibe, but
Yeah.
in his own character, and that kind of style resonates with me a lot. So I remember going to see him play, and I duetted with him. I did a duet with him, and that's when Mel and Brian asked me if I would like to have a gig there. So that's how it all started. That's how I got my first gig ever. And I had like a week to prepare for it. And I even had like a mental breakdown during that week because I'd never done something like that before. I remember crying and being like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. So
Proper
all that
breakdown.
happened
Wow.
behind the scenes.
What year was this?
Yeah. This was 2014, maybe
Oh,
2014 or 15.
Did I
Yeah.
mix your first gig?
No, I don't think so.
'Cause
I
was
would
the-
have remembered
I-
you.
I was the first engineer in Merdekaria, but it was only for
Oh,
about,
were you?
for about
Well,
a two
then I don't.
for about a 2 month period between July, August of 2014 to about October of 2014.
I don't remember exactly which year
that's
it
what-
was.
that's when it
but
was-
I know it
that's
was
when
in
the-
September.
That's when the desk was hidden behind the wall. They used to have a wee kind of hole in the wall thing where the bar used to be.
Yeah, it used to look completely different,
Oh,
and there were
it's-
all the signatures on the
Yeah,
wall
it's
and
changed so
everything.
many times. Like
Yeah. Was a cool
It
living
has.
room. Yeah.
Yeah.
microphone
And
on,
I
egg,
was-
on eggs boxes and stuff like that. It was nuts.
Good times, lah. Man, come on.
Yeah, that was
Good
fun. Like, it's like
times.
crashing. You were just crashing in someone's house. It was like, hey man.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the cool vibe. But it was like something. Like it really was like just like a house vibe. Like so.
Yeah, I was so glad I was 19 then, so I was so glad to get to discover a place like that, and I feel like that was my opening into like the KL indie scene, because prior to that I was hanging out more in like the Otai scene, you know,
Yeah.
the blues scene and all that, and I didn't really know a lot of musicians who were my age, just because I only moved to KL when I was 17. You know, I only moved here when I was 17, and then and then when Sohail and I met, he didn't really know anyone else in the scene either. Like we were both, he played guitar, I could sing, and that was it. We'd never like performed professionally before. So, you know, that first gig was the first time for both of us, really. And
So just a duo set, you and him.
it was, well, actually, I think it was mostly duo, and then we had non-blues feature, do a song, and also Julian Mokhtar featured.
Oh,
and did
lama,
a
you
song
got the
with
blues
him.
gang playing with you, man.
I mean,
Your
those
first-
were my uncles. Those are the
your f-
people who
That's why.
who
That's why.
raised
So
me.
cool.
Your
That's
first
so
gig,
cool.
and you get to call up legends. They fucking love me. Like,
You know, just
Yes.
a little bit of
Just
I
flex.
call it name
Just
dropping.
flexing, lah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jalan.
Flexing a little bit.
Someone's got some Jalan. Jalan.
Yeah, but it was a small gig, and I don't remember how many people turned up, maybe like 15 or 20 people, but I was over the moon because, you know,
What night was it?
Sorry?
Which night was it on?
You're
It's
asking me
between
about,
a Tuesday.
It's your first gig.
Nah.
You're asking, I know,
It's
okay,
your
it was
first gig.
probably,
You remember your
I
first
think I
No,
did
I
this
don't
gig,
remember.
lah. I think
don't
I did this
remember.
gig, lah.
no,
I think-
I
I
didn't
think-
meet you until a couple years later.
I think I maybe.
No,
had
but
this gig.
2015 I was
Yeah, no, I would have been.
Already working
No,
in.
no,
I was
you've been
already
working.
in Merdeka.
You
I
wouldn't been
think
the
it
sound
was
engineer.
then maybe it was 2014.
Not sound engineer. I was probably behind the bar.
Because I remember the first time I met you was I remember the first time I met you, and it was not that time. Like it was
No.
a couple years later.
If it was 2014, was either one of two people who had done sound. It would have been either me.
Well,
or
somebody
it would have
did.
been. It would have been, what do you call him?
Choi.
After me. Joy. It would have been either me or Joy.
Yeah, maybe I was behind the bar. Maybe 2015.
14. She said 14.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
it
I
was
was there.
14.
I was
I
there
don't
from
know.
like late 2014 till like
Okay,
late
I was
2016.
okay. It must be 2014 because I was 19.
Okay.
So it must be
Okay.
2014.
And you said you remember it being September.
Yes.
Then it was me.
Then it was
It was
Derek.
100% me.
Oh yeah.
It would have been
You're
me.
probably damn nervous. You just forgot.
would've
You
been.
know what I'm saying?
Or Derek's just forgettable. Once in a while, Derek. Huh? Just once a week. Just every Thursday at 10 p.m.
To be fair, I was only in Malaysia about 2 months by that stage. I didn't turn on full on arsehole at that stage. I was being a nice boy, drinking.
You hadn't assimilated.
No, I was just drinking. I used to freak.
You just
men-
blended
I,
in.
I used to freak. I used to freak Mel and Brian out because I used to drink tea when I was working, and they'd be like going, "Are we sure he's Irish? He's fucking drinking tea. What's going on? Do you want to be here?" I went, "No, I'm okay."
Eric drank tea. This is unbelievable.
This was when he was pretending lah. The first like year, you know.
Yeah.
He hadn't let
Hardcore
loose
pretending.
yet.
I hadn't let loose. And now it's just like
It's like a woman in a
guy.
relationship keeping the crazy at bay until you got the guy in love with you, and then you just let all the fucking crazy out. You're just like,
Oh, who told you that's how it happens? You have to let the crazy out first.
Derek
No,
just
no, no,
went
no,
through
no,
like
no.
that. Derek just
No,
had
but
to.
No,
We
but
take
really,
a break,
you
right?
have to let the crazy out first. Yeah.
No.
That's a rookie mistake.
No.
Next question.
Go ahead, then. Next question.
Tell us about how the band expanded after you and Sohail from 2 to what is it now? 5? 4?
No, it's 4.
No.
No la.
Yeah. So what happened was, so after we had, I think we did 2 gigs as just the 2 of us, and very quickly, both of us were really into rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very much a folkster at heart, but I was also raised on rock and roll. So I think we both were kind of itching for that band sound and that fullness, and that's something that I've always been really attracted to, and him as well. So we were like, let's try to get a band started. And we went through a few members before we got to the current lineup that we have today, which is David and Ruben. But yeah, so there was a lot of trial and error. Of course, at the beginning, you get to know people, and you kind of, maybe at first, like the first couple of people that we worked with, we didn't have the best chemistry with them and stuff, but you have to go through that and learn, what kind of people you need to work with, or what kind of sound you want to have. So, and what kind of dynamic you want to like bring to the band, what feel you want. So we learned along the way, and we met Ruben because we watched Cats in Love. And
Okay.
yeah, I was a big fan of Cats in Love at the time. And I remember seeing Ruben and thinking, I don't know, for some reason, the first time I saw him, I thought he was wearing eyeliner. Apparently he wasn't, but I thought he was wearing eyeliner. And he was playing on this, because of the venue, there was the drum set was a little bit tiny, and he was playing on this tiny drum set. And I thought, like, man, he reminds me of Vanilla Fudge's drummer. And like, I used to love like some of Vanilla Fudge stuff. So I approached him and I was like, hey, band.
That's it.
Serious,
Yeah.
is it?
She made him
So
an
then-
offer he couldn't
Confident,
resist.
confident.
God
that-
damn, siren on the rocks, just waving the guy. Like, hey, you want to join my band?
And it was similar with David. So David we met I think a couple years later, or we met him before, but he was playing in Kaya, so we knew him and all that. But what we were looking for a bassist to kind of join us more permanently, and I think we did a gig with David kind of just as a one-off, but the vibe was right. So
Oh, he's great, man. Yeah.
yeah, you've played with him, and
Yeah.
David is just, he comes from a very similar kind of background in music, especially like to me. He's very much into a lot of the old school stuff. He listens to a lot of classic rock, a lot of folk rock stuff as well, and he has that blues influence too. So he really kind of fit in very well. He gelled well with the rest of the band, you know, and he's very laid back. He's laid back.
Damn
He's
chill,
chill.
dude.
and that's kind of who we are. That's what we need, and it always helps in a band, I feel, when you can party and have a good time with your band members.
Oh,
You want to
very
be able to
important,
do
very
that.
important.
It's very
Yeah.
important, and that's something that we could do with David. So when we met David, it was like, yeah, this is a good fit. So it was supposed to be a one-off gig, but then we were like, so you want to come back? You want to play another gig? And yeah, he seemed to like it. So here we are.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So this was the full lineup that you guys recorded with as well, right?
Yes.
There's-
We
there-
recorded our album with Ruben and David. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when so David joined after we wrote most of the songs.
Okay.
So the guy who we wrote a lot of our songs with was Iko El Noel, who's this Sabahan bassist.
Oh,
he's
Iko.
Iko, yeah.
Iko's
he's
a
a
friend of
fan-
mine. I love Iko.
He's a fantastic guy, fantastic player. So, and very talented. So we wrote a lot of the music with Iko,
Yeah.
but it just so happened that David joined after that. But I think in the recordings, he still did the music justice, you know.
Iko.
And in the recordings, David
Oh, David
played for our
played on the
recordings.
recordings. Okay.
Yeah, and all the songs that we've written since then were written with David.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Cool.
Mhm.
Okay, I think at this stage we'll take our first break, and in the second half we'll go into the recording of your first album, how you felt about
Okay.
it, the actual processes, who you recorded with. So
Okay.
we'll take a break now, and we'll get you back for part 2. Okay, thank you, Billie.
Okay,
10
thank
minutes?
you.
Okay,
10 minutes, eh? 10
10
minutes.
minutes. And we're back with part 2 of the Billie Blue podcast. Welcome back, Billie.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us
Yeah.
again.
The
Yeah.
Billie Blue podcast, huh?
I'm sorry. Does that offend you, Billie?
No. It's just, it has I feel like I'm here in the waiting room, so it's nice to hear it being called the Billie Blue
Well,
podcast.
each podcast has got its own the guest name, so like this is the Billie Blue podcast.
Oh,
You
well,
should
I
start
like
your,
it.
you should
I-
start
I
your own
like it.
podcast. Good. You should start your own podcast.
I
called the Billie Blue.
actually have started my own podcast.
Have you?
It's not called the Billie Blue podcast, but I have started my own podcast.
Oh,
Okay, what's
competition.
great.
We'll buy you. We'll buy you.
Episode 2 is coming soon.
Okay. So what's it called?
It's called Roti Musings.
Roti Musings.
Ah,
And
Roti.
Roti, but
Roti.
Roti as in ROTEA.
okay. And what's
Yeah.
and what is the podcast about?
Well, it's basically me and one of my really good friends. We pick a theme for each episode, and then we dissect it, basically.
Your friend's name?
And my friend's name is Afika.
Okay.
You don't know her. She's not from Malaysia.
Okay. Where's she from?
Yeah, she's from Singapore.
Okay.
And she and I went to school together in Singapore. And now she's living in Germany, but we are still very good friends. And she's one of those people that, I'm so close to her that we have that kind of friendship where we can talk about anything for hours and dive really deep into it. And we can talk about really very serious topics and also make it, I don't know, and also joke around at the same time.
That's a proper
And
friendship then.
yeah, so we decided, what the heck, let's just make a podcast. So the reason why it's called Roti Musings is because we always have roti and tea while we have our podcast. So that's why it's roti.
And what topic was your first one?
So our first one it came out around Halloween time. So
Okay.
it was kind of Halloween themed. What we did is we actually collected answers from a bunch of our friends. We asked them about the ghosts that they were most scared of when they were growing up and why, and whether they consider themselves to be superstitious. So we asked friends who are based in different countries or who are from different countries. So we got quite an interesting selection of answers. And the goal of that was kind of to see how culture might also have an effect on what we are afraid of. And, how our, kind of mystical fears can
I think culture is a
kind of
total.
symbolize other types of fears. It's just a personification of, different
Aside,
Totally,
fears.
yes.
aside from inherent human instincts of fear of what we don't know, I think culture, when especially it comes to ghosts and stuff like that, culture is completely.
And culture also,
Involved.
your culture scares you into shit, right? To make you
Yeah.
behave as a kid.
Mhm.
Don't go there.
Yeah,
Don't go there. You know?
So
I remember.
it's entirely cultural, like or
Yeah, terribly. Yeah.
superstitions is
what
is a
was
cultural
really
thing.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
What was really what was really interesting to us and when we were doing our podcast was that all of the people who we spoke to from Malaysia or Singapore were all afraid of the same ghost when they were young.
Which is
I don't know. Why don't you tell me who you were afraid of growing up?
Yeah, that's
I'm
the
It was
afraid.
the same as-
I'm afraid of just walking out at night,
Yeah.
so I can't do.
So-
ghosts.
Brennan's Indian. Everybody's afraid of him in Malaysia. It's not the, it's the other way about.
Nice. Yeah,
Ayun.
yeah. Keeping it
afraid-
alive. Keeping it alive.
I'm afraid of Jais. I'm afraid Jais, Jakim, biggest ghost.
Kalwat.
See, our fears change, as we get older.
So
Our
what-
demons are different.
What is
So
what
what
is
is
what is the
what is
ghost?
the most?
Yeah, what is the ghost in
For Malaysians and
Malayu?
Singaporeans, everyone
What's the
said
Malayu ghost?
everyone said Pontianak.
Yeah, lah.
Pontianak.
Everyone said
is that-
Pontianak.
What's
Evergreen
Pontianak
one
in
too.
English? Vampire.
It's a banshee.
Oh,
It's
banshee.
or a vampire.
A
Okay.
banshee.
A banshee is
Banshee,
a
vampire.
banshee is an Irish spirit. It's not a
well,
vampire.
Okay, well then she
So-
would be more like a vampire. Although
No, but the word banshee is used to describe Pontianak. So I read it in the-
Yeah, but a ban-
I would,
banshee's not a
because it kind
vampire.
of depends on the story as well. Yeah, every story has a slightly different.
For context,
on
a
her?
banshee is it's also known as a wailing woman, so it's a spirit
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
woman who
Wailing
cries.
woman, yeah.
Oh,
Same,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
because
she does
vampire is
both
like Count
things.
Dracula and shit, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit,
Proper
man, yeah.
proper vampire is cool and suave and sophisticated,
Yeah.
wearing a nice.
I would say
But-
she's more like a banshee than a vampire.
Yeah, it sounds more
Yeah.
like a banshee,
Because
like-
she doesn't.
Vampire is Sesame Street, man. 1, 2, 3, wow! You know,
Come on, lah, guys.
So there's a Pontianak whale.
Uh, she
Yeah.
laughs. She cackles,
Yeah.
doesn't she? She cackles.
Oh.
You know, right? The story
Well, I
of the Pontianak. You know, right? The,
Cackles.
if you want to know the distance Pontianak, you know the story, right?
The French
You're going to
opinion?
tell us.
That if you hear it close to you, like sounds is
Uh-huh.
near, it's actually very far. If it sounds very
Ah.
far, it's actually close. So if you're walking and you hear like, hey, very far, actually you should freak out because it's probably
Well,
like,
I
Damn.
probably
Yeah.
Oh god.
I probably know the logical
Nice.
points of the Puntiana and the ban because if it's anything like the banshee, the reason that Irish people started come up with the banshee is because it was cats having sex. and they couldn't understand what cats having sex was, and cats having sex sounds like they're a wailing woman or a child crying, and the banshee. We're all told is. Have you ever? They go. Have you ever hear an old woman crying, or it sounds like a child crying in the distance? That's the banshee, and run away. And then we
leave him alone.
And you eventually you grew up and you find out it's actually cats having sex. Because cats having sex
That's
sound
true. That's true.
literally like
What childhood ruined? Childhood fears ruined.
So like more likely that the actual logical position was cats having sex, which is there's loads of cats in Malaysia, so I can
There's
understand
cats
it.
having
Like,
sex everywhere.
in Malaysia, there is
Right now.
fucking places. I've never seen so many cats in my life. It's crazy. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
So you got cats in love lah.
So I kind of.
Hey!
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Comes back full
Yeah,
circle.
that's a good cover.
That's
up.
strange.
Where's that?
I wouldn't know what the because in Ireland the ghosts it would just be a mirage of different menagerie of different types of ghosts that people would generally be scared of, but like not really. I think when I moved over to Malaysia, Malaysians are way more superstitious than Irish people are.
Superstitious.
Yeah,
I think
they are
Asian
yeah,
way more,
communities,
like-
Asian communities are usually more superstitious.
I was bred into the
And I'll go-
culture as well.
I'll-
Like especially with, you've got a well, we have festivals. Halloween's like it's the festival of Samhain, like it's the Irish festival of Samhain, but like but like the you've got the ghosts.
Every night,
like, everything.
ours is every night is Halloween, man. You just don't go out. Man. No ghosts. Our ghosts in Asia are a lot more hardcore, right? You got like
Exactly.
Langsui, you know?
They're a lot.
Yeah.
Langsui. There a lot of them are. I think the Southeast Asian ghosts are
Yeah.
a lot more brutal and a lot more terrifying than
Yeah, Hollywood ghosts.
European ghosts.
What? Or you know they got chain, right? Ding ding. Ding. It's like got chain. You talk. Our ghosts can fly, man.
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean, Hollywood ghosts are either very fake looking or they're just like real people.
Psycho. Yeah. Psycho.
what I mean?
Real
or
people,
even
yeah. That's
stories,
scary, actually.
or even stories like a Christmas Carol where you've got the ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present. They're
They're
ghosts.
just like translucent humans.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're still trying to help Ebenezer become a better human being. Like so, like they're
Yeah.
helpful ghosts.
Casper, get out of here, man. What kind of ghost is that?
Casper.
Sell out.
Casper is a friendly ghost.
Sell out
One big
ghost,
part
Aaron.
of Casper. Casper is my friend.
But
You can't really mention Casper and Pontianak in the same breath.
No, but
you know?
Asia, you got crazy women climbing out of the fucking TV and a fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie traumatized me when I was a kid.
Oh.
Yes.
Hold on.
I
I'm not talking
mean,
about
I'm a
housemate too,
lover.
is it?
I'm a lover of horror films, and that movie traumatized me as a kid. When she
Oh.
came out of that well, first of all, and then came out of the
yeah.
freaking
You're talking about
TV.
the original Japanese version of the Ring.
Yeah, the original
I
one,
watched
right?
both. I watched
Yeah.
both.
But
Both
the
of them
Japanese
were
more
really
The
powerful,
scary.
Japanese
right?
are way
Yeah.
better. The Japanese version
Yeah.
is way better.
From the Japanese one, I remember a scene where there was a TV that was turned off in the room,
Yeah.
and just in
Yes.
the corner of the TV, there's a reflection. Of
Oh yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And then when I was a kid, every time the TVs turn off, I didn't want to look at the screen.
Oh shit.
My
I just
housemate
felt
was
like
scared. He
something's
didn't watch
gonna
TV
be-
at all, man. It's like,
For
"Great,
us-
go back your room.
For us of a certain age, the film Poltergeist did the same thing.
All the guys,
Oh,
yeah.
all the guys, yeah.
Yeah, me and Asma, Poltergeist would have done the same
Oh,
thing
man.
for us.
Like I
with
say, I've
the
never
TV.
seen Poltergeist.
Oh, the
I
TV
watched
thing.
it as a
Have you
kid.
ever seen, when you do go and see Poltergeist, when you watch it and you see the TV thing, you'll understand the context we were talking about.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's just scare you,
there's
actually.
a ghost. There's a ghost in the TV in Poltergeist, and this tiny kid just turns around and points at the TV and goes, "They're here." at the TV, and the TV's just kind of
Static, right?
static.
Static.
Going,
You need to make a ghost movie about smartphones, man. That'll freak people off their phones, right? Like one day, like just
Ooh.
Instagram drops. Like, what
Yeah.
happened? The movie- it's a screen too, right?
but these days, a horror film for a kid does not get enough likes in their fucking Instagram or something like that. It's not proper fucking.
No, it's just no Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Everybody's
Yeah.
fucked when there's no. Even I go like, whoa, what? Where's the Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
Kiamat already.
YouTube's,
Oh, man.
YouTube's down or something like that there.
Need to learn to let go, man. Fuck.
Oh no, the kid
Fucking internet.
Possible.
I tell you.
glued to
So
the.
Controlled
your
by
your
social
podcast
media.
is Is your postcard pula? Your podcast on YouTube? Okay, old school lah.
Hey, your
Postcard.
postcard lah. Man. Come on. Finally, after
is it on
20
YouTube?
episodes, you crack lah. Man.
Yeah, after this, gotta send out postcards. We can monetize. We should make waiting room postcards. Yeah.
Yeah, you should do that. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Cannot
But is your podcast on
cannot
YouTube?
post like you. Won't let it out.
Our
Yeah,
podcast is
that's
not on YouTube. Our
Yet.
podcast
It's
is
audio.
on Spotify. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
on
audio, okay.
Spotify. It's on. I think it's on Apple Podcasts. It's on. Yeah, it's just on the like Google Podcasts, stuff like that.
So what's episode?
boys, that's what we're
What's
doing.
episode number 2?
It's
Been there, bud?
any podcast.
What's the topic?
Sorry.
Episode number 2. What's the topic? Have you chosen one yet?
Episode number 2. Yes, episode number 2 is going to be about the holidays, the holiday seasons, but we're going to be talking about stuff like, how to make your own traditions, reconnecting with traditions, and also all the anxieties surrounding holidays. The holiday seasons can be like a really stressful period for a lot of people for multiple reasons. So we're going to be delving into that and like kind of some ways to handle all of the mess of the holidays, because I think for a lot of people it's supposed to be a fun time, but there are a lot of factors that can come into play that make it not so fun.
Family.
True.
Family, yeah, and yeah.
Finances. Family. The F's family finances.
Yeah, and depending on what kind of person you are, like if you are, like from certain communities, sometimes your family members can be less accepting of you, or your partner's family members can be less accepting of you. So there's all of these, not so fun things. So we're going to be
Opposite of holiday. Yeah, it becomes opposite of holiday. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we're also going to be talking about positive things like, tradition,
Okay.
making your own traditions, because I'm all about that.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to, apart from reconnecting with your family's traditions, or upholding your family's traditions, it's also nice to make your own sometimes. And I think especially for people who are far away from their family, they have to do that. You have to kind of make it a point to do the holidays in your own way, because you're all by yourself, or you have like your chosen family with you. You don't
Yeah, I
have
understand
like
that.
your so
Like we've got a Christmas tree up now, like, and Marina's Muslim, so like she knows that I love Christmas, so like I kept trying to keep the Christmas tree up until Raya, because it's green when you've got.
Wow, that's long, man.
But yeah, you see,
I'm trying to invent a Raya tree, but like Marina's having none.
exactly.
Raya tree.
Exactly,
tree.
and Derek, that's your own tradition. No one can
My-
take that away from you.
Yeah, well, my wife takes away from me every year because Marina can put that fucking tree down around about March. I have the tree up all year round, so I love a good Christmas tree.
You just prepare a tree with a lot of like ketupat hanging.
Ketupat.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hanging, man. Yeah.
Plus,
Do a nice rendang.
a Christmas,
Hanging rendang. And
Come on,
berendang
Derek,
also.
it's not
Berendang
just a
also.
tree.
Time
Ah,
to
berendang
add some
also.
rendang in there.
See,
a Christmas tree ties your sitting room together. You walk into a sitting room with a Christmas tree and it looks good. Am I right?
Yeah, this year I actually made it a point to buy a Christmas tree. So
Good.
like for the longest time we haven't had a Christmas tree, and this year with the pandemic and everything, I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna have the Christmas that I want to have. I'm gonna
Exactly.
buy a Christmas tree. So
We've got our
now I have a tree.
we've got our shiny Moloch on our gate, which is outside our condo, like, which is always good. We've got a marina decorated. Our gate. Brendan and Fabian knows what our front gate looks like. It's all kind of foresty, like, and right in the middle there's an owl. This fucking
There's a what?
owl. A
Owl.
bird.
Wow.
An owl.
Yeah, an owl.
Oh.
So our neighbours, as they walk past this forest thing with an owl, now for Christmas we've got this kind of crown. So the owl's got a crown now, like. So they definitely think we're some
This
sort
is
of.
a fake owl, right? This is
Yeah,
not a
no.
real
No.
owl.
Carcass,
Real.
not carcass.
real owl. lah. Come on, lah, Billie. You pass by, go.
The roadkill.
Brendan, that's a pigeon, not an owl.
Yeah,
Do a pigeon, lah.
pigeon. Alamak.
Owls go, hoo, hoo.
Ha ha.
Yeah, hoo.
Why
anyway-
not so enthusiastic? The second
No,
one, come on.
He's a bored owl. But anyway, our neighbors definitely think we're some sort of pagan fucking lunatics, like so, which is good.
Good, they leave you
It's
alone.
exactly
Yeah.
what I want them to think.
Yes.
So
Oh,
yeah, do it the way you want to, celebrate it the way you want to, and
Exactly.
and as you say, create your own
Yeah,
thing.
I think I think that that's really important.
And that's the whole thing. I don't want to get into some sort of political around here. That's the whole thing I always find weird about cultural appropriation, because creating your own thing is incorporating all our cultures into your own thing, and then people getting
Yeah.
upset about it. You're going like, but I'm celebrating
Yeah.
everything. Like,
What is this?
yeah, what is this? Let's
Yeah,
bring it in.
man.
But anyway, enough of that. So your album,
Yeah.
Find gold.
Yeah. Yeah, tell us more.
where was it
What would
recorded?
what would you like to know? Okay,
Well, what was
it was
Just
recorded.
like start from the beginning. How
The
it
name
all
of the
came
album.
about.
What's the
Yeah.
name of the album?
Yeah.
The name of the album, Find Gold,
Fine Gold.
not fine. Yeah, find
Find.
with a D.
Fine. Yeah, Fine Gold.
Yeah,
Charlie.
find gold. So the title comes from the first song we ever wrote, Emperor,
Yeah.
and the first line of Emperor is "So long till the emperor finds gold."
Okay,
So,
cool.
so we took the title "Find Gold" from there, and our like whole thing about it was that, you know, people usually have this concept of wanting to find gold, whatever gold might be to you. It could be success, it could be happiness, whatever. It could be a number of things. But often, I don't want to say like it's the journey or whatever, but you know, it's usually the whole process of getting there that can be the real gold sometimes. I feel like this sounds super cliche, but
No.
that's where the title came from. Yeah. And our song Emperor was it was kind of inspired by all the greed that's going on these days, especially with politics and you know, with and you see that a lot in like leadership and all that. There's a lot of greed, and that's been recurring throughout history and throughout time. So that's why, like, so long till the emperor finds gold, you never quite reach it, because the moment you reach something, you attain gold, it becomes further out of reach because you want more. Yeah, so
It's never enough.
Yeah, when's
it's
enough
never
enough?
enough. Yeah,
And
so that's where the title came from.
where was it recorded? Who
It was
produ-
recorded at Nadir Studios here in KL. Well, actually, technically in TTDI.
Yeah.
Is TTDI considered to be
Yeah.
KL?
KL, it's
KL,
KL.
yeah.
Yeah. People TTI, they say
I
they're
love-
okay, but it is
I love
KL.
how you
yeah.
all are like really quick to be like, yeah, it's KL, it's KL.
Yeah, we all
Absolutely,
established
yeah.
this during the MCO, where all the lines are, where to cross, where not to cross.
Malaysians
Yes,
Malaysians finally learned geography during the fucking MCO.
We finally
I had
looked at
no
our own
idea.
map, you know. Oh God.
Yes, so it was
So was that-
recorded
it was Ash
in
who did it
Nadir
then.
Studios. Yes,
Cool.
Ashwin Gobinath.
How long did it take?
I just really like saying his name. You know, his name is fun. Ashwin Gobinath.
Don't be stroking that ego any more than it needs.
Yeah,
Ashman's ego is quite big enough; it doesn't need any more stroking. No, we all love Ash. He is a fantastic producer and a fantastic mixer. So yes.
How long
Yeah,
did it take to record? The whole
if I remember correctly, it took us about 4 months to record and release.
Wow.
4+ months. Yeah,
It's quite
if I
long.
remember correctly.
how many
Was it
times a
because
week?
of was that because of like busy schedules, or were you all like in often in the studio? What was that
Oh,
like?
Well, we were quite busy. I mean, I was working full time at the time. So I remember like finishing work at 5:30 and then rushing over, like, cuz I was working downtown in KL, and then rushing over to TTDI to like record and listen and all that, and then we'd finish at about midnight or so, and then I'd rush back home because I live, near Bansar, and then I would sleep and wake up at 6 the next day to go to work.
Cool.
Yes, it was a very, very exhausting period of time, but I think I learned a lot. I think we all learned a lot during the first recording, because it's really, it's nothing like how you imagine it to be. It's one thing to like, it's one thing to read about it or to talk about how it's going to go in theory, and then in practice, when you're actually there, it's just a completely different experience.
Okay, so what lived up to your expectations, and what didn't live up to your expectations of you going in? Because obviously you're saying you had ideas of what a recording from years of listening to musicians and reading about it. So you had ideas about what a recording process would be going in. What pros and cons?
So I would say that something that I personally kind of, I don't want to say struggled with, but something that I was kind of trying to navigate during that time was getting comfortable in the studio. I found it very difficult to
I've seen it so many times. With so many
fully
musicians.
relax.
Yeah.
Because I would be recording my vocal parts. The way that we did it was the band pretty much recorded together.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be as live as possible.
Mhm.
We wanted to capture that live energy, which that also was quite difficult to achieve. But so we wanted to do that. So the boys recorded. I kind of sang like as a guide.
track, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but my actual vocal parts were recorded later. So I recorded in like Ash's studio
Yeah.
at his home, and it was quite difficult for me to fully get comfortable and project the same kind of energy that I would when I'm performing on stage. And I think because I completely I learned how to sing by singing on stage. So that's my comfort zone. I've always felt like, rehearsals, learning songs, I sound like, whatever. And then on stage, I kind of turn into a different
I understand. And this is a girl who lip synced in her own bedroom, so
Yes.
we can understand you being put into that. It's almost like being transposed back into that environment again, where you've got headphones on, and someone's going to perform. Where you go,
Yeah, it's really weird. It's very strange, and I always felt like I wasn't singing enough, like I wasn't pushing it hard enough, and it was really hard for me to do that, especially intensity wise or volume wise, because I'm so used to singing with a full band. And like there's some songs that I sing with my band that have, particularly higher notes or more intense sections.
Mhm.
And during rehearsal or during sound check, I'll never reach that level. But during the show, I can surpass
Yeah.
that level sometimes.
because you get into the zone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
during a
do.
gig. Yeah.
That's different.
You really do. Yeah, and you feed off the energy of the crowd and the energy of the other musicians who you're playing with. And without that, it's very different.
You
Yeah,
got to induce it. You have to induce
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's a
So I was
thing.
really trying to
I should have
induce
just
it.
I should have just pissed you off.
Is it?
Sorry?
Honestly, I should have just
Should have just what?
he should have just pissed you off. He should have just upset you. There's like some,
Oh, that's his technique.
there's some great stories of how producers have managed to
Yeah.
coax that out. Like prime example, on Tool's first album, the producer was trying to get Maynard to do this massive guttural scream that Maynard did live, and she couldn't. She was female producer, and she couldn't get it out of him. And no matter what she tried, she couldn't get it out of him. And sorry, am I disappearing there?
No, yeah.
I can hear you.
Hey, Fred.
Okay.
Sorry, I disappeared in my. But anyway, so what she did, she so goes, okay, go for a run around the block 3 times. And Maynard was like, what? And she goes, go for a fucking run around the block. And Maynard, by the time Maynard came back, he was so pissed off. She stuck him in the studio and she goes, do it now.
Scream.
Nailed it first day.
Wow.
She just made him that angry by fucking patronizing him, belittling him, and just go for a run. And he came back in and just fucking nailed it. So like, sometimes you just have to like be an asshole producer and just piss the musician off. If you feel it's all contextual. If you feel the song requires the singer to go over the limit, go over that extra mile, and may require them to be upset to do it. Like,
Yeah.
because
Parallel would be like
some songs or some on the song it may require that level of like passion and that level of like emotion. So you got like if the singer can't or isn't if you someone like yourself you feel I felt like in a natural environment for you to get it out of you, then you would need to find another way by coaxing it and dragging
Yeah,
it.
and I'm always willing to experiment.
Yeah.
And like the songs that I think I was the most happy with how like the vocals turned out were the mellower songs, like Old Friend, which is essentially it's a folk song. It's, guitar and voice. And I was pretty happy with how that turned out. And also our version of Nature Boy, which the way that we do it, it starts off very ambient, and then there's this heavier part with the instrument, with like the whole band. And so initially when I'm singing, it's very ambient with the guitars. It's pretty much just guitar, a little bit of drum fills. And I like to be able to play with like the different tones of my voice. So I feel like those softer or mellower tones, they really came out pretty well in the studio. But when I wanted that intensity, that was hard for me to like replicate. It was hard for me to induce that. And I don't think I've completely figured that out yet. And I think it's going to take another recording and maybe a different song or something.
It's
I'm
about
okay with that.
experiences, but experiences as well. Like maybe some meditation where you get yourself into like you get yourself into a zone of the emotion that you require for that certain part. You just get yourself into a kind of meditative zone where you're almost there in a situation where it requires that emotion. Then you just let yourself go for that minute or two.
I just like, that. Yeah, I'm there. That works for me, But you gotta find that. You gotta find that method. Eventually, go.
But the metal band I
you
used
got to find what works for you, I guess.
yeah, the metal band I used to play back in Ireland, one of my first bands, our singer, like he wrote amazing lyrics, like, but he's a very rational, calm human being. Like he did politics and stuff like that at university. So, but like on stage, he was amazing. Like that, he gave himself black eyes before by singing, screaming so hard his blood vessels burst, managed to give himself black eyes. Sort of like you remind him of Chino from Deftones. That sort of screaming, like. So for his recording sessions, me and one of our members of the band would literally just sit and insult him for about fucking a good 10 minutes. Just really, I would know. Obviously, I'm very good at annoying people, so I would just annoy the shit out of him. Prior to him doing his vocals, I would just literally just push him, and then go, okay, you're annoyed enough now, go on and do it. And the vocal techs were like, yeah, he's got it. We're there, like, so. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to play around a little bit more and figure out what that is for me. I know that when I'm performing, I feel very confident on stage usually.
You definitely appear very confident on stage, like you seem like you're in the zone.
Yeah, so I feel I usually feel kind of, enveloped by all of the music, and I'm kind of I'm kind of happily sitting in that bubble.
Yeah.
I can't pay too much attention to the audience. Of course, you feed off their energy, but I can't pay too much attention to like someone's facial expression or what someone's doing on their phone. Or I can't do that. And I just kind of have to, when I'm on stage, I'm really with the band, and I feel very confident and usually very jubilant. I feel exhilarated usually. Yeah. So that's when the magic happens on stage, at least.
Okay, well, we'll come at the end of part 2, but I think this conversation is going quite well. So are you willing to go with part 3?
Sure.
Okay.
But it depends on
Everybody else,
everyone.
aside from Female, who I think has to bow out on this one.
Yep.
Okay, so
And
Female has to
everyone,
bow
you
out
guys
because
should
of
go
family
on.
commitments.
Yeah.
But we'll go on for part 3. So like, appreciate Billie, the conversation is going nice and well. So like, we'll be back in about another 10 minutes for part 3 of the Billie Blue podcast. Thank you. And we are into number 3 of the Billie Blue podcast, which is good. Means the conversations are going well. So we were having in part 2, we're just ending off with what you thought was the cons of being, your experience of what your ideas of being in a studio were, and how uncomfortable. What was the pros? What did you find that you were surprised at or you liked about being in the studio environment as opposed to live?
I think it was just hearing your music with that kind of clarity.
The control, the ability,
Yeah,
I don't know what you mean.
That was really something else, because sometimes at live shows it can be really fun, but sometimes there's a lot of noise. Sometimes the sound isn't very good. You're all competing to be heard on the monitors, and it's nice to be in that studio setup where you can hear everyone distinctly and clearly.
And you're a listener, compared as opposed to live, where you're not the listener. You're, even though it's your music, you are listening. You're hearing from a listener's point of view. But on this one, you get to control it. Like you can get to say, "No, I don't like this. Can I get this changed?" You have a huge level of control over what the product will be.
That was a nice feeling as well, although I would say that can also be overwhelming at the same time.
The responsibility.
Because I was also confronted with how much I don't know, and sometimes like I don't have a background in I never studied music, so sometimes, I mean, I don't know if that helps, but
that helps actually to me.
I was often like kind of unsure if when I was trying to communicate what exactly I wanted or what kind of sound I was going for. I wasn't sure if I could communicate it as clearly, because I'm a writer. I use a lot of flowery words to explain what I want to say.
Not unlike every musician I've ever dealt with.
It's not, but it's
sound
not technical.
Sound engineers are, when we work with musicians, we are used to textures and colors. When musicians are usually tell us what they want in textures and colors, so we're used to that sort of language being. No, I want it more. I want it warmer. I want it to feel a certain way. I want it to feel like I want it to
be airy.
Yeah, I want it to feel like grass. Okay.
I want a grittier sound.
So
more dirt. Yeah.
More dirt.
I think be more. I think you need more tangible sort of.
It's only when you're actually when you're working with other sound engineers and you're recording with them where they tell you, no, I want more 2K in the kick drum. You go, okay.
It's like.
It can be daunting,
But like never,
never.
You should never feel embarrassed or feel wary about using flowery language, because that's all musicians use. Well, it is just flowery language. So like we're quite well trained about going like, if a musician goes, I want my voice to sound wee spark. Can you put some sparkle in the voice and go? That's 8 kilohertz. There we go. There's a wee bit of sparkle up there. So like we're okay.
No, but this is where I think having clear lines. Who's producing is very important. You can't just say like who's the engineer, who's producing. It could be you, it could be you and Ash. Because I mean, a producer, I think in a way, it doesn't have to be somebody who holds money, have more technical knowledge, really. But maybe
No.
you're the producer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you
but
could be
like,
that. Yeah,
but like someone like Ash is intelligent enough to know like that, like if Billy's not happy with what she's hearing and it's her voice what she's hearing, then he's going to ask for her input
Oh, yeah.
to get it to the place where she's sitting going, yeah, that's my voice. That's what
Yeah.
I want. Like a bad engineer,
Yeah,
a bad producer or a bad engineer would be the person who thinks that they know exactly what her voice will sound like.
yeah,
That would be bad.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be bad. Like,
Yeah, and then they'll be like, no, but I think that you're just not hearing it the way I'm hearing it or whatever.
yeah.
no, that communication. Yeah, it's not.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
I think there is merit to having some trusted ears
Of
around,
course, absolutely. Like,
are not the engineer and are not part of the band. Someone
course.
who can be like objective and who also understands what you're going for. And think maybe I think we may have overlooked that. We were
Probably,
all just like constantly listening to it ourselves. And in retrospect, I would have liked to have like opened it up a little bit more to having other people listen as
You
well.
should actually.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
that can work. It might not work. You could end up with a too many chefs scenario.
yes, exactly.
so
and
you
I
could
think
end up with
that is what I was kind of worried about.
Yeah, you
No,
could
but
end
it's
up with
okay. I
that.
mean,
Like,
for me, let play it to somebody who has no idea what you're going for. Just somebody who's like, I mean, somebody who's a music
Mhm.
lover, and just listen to it.
mm,
That helps a lot. I mean, somebody who's
Mhm.
not musician, because that's quite important. Because
Mhm.
majority of listeners will be non-musicians,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're gonna follow what they say, but but it's good to know.
Yeah. It's good to have
Sometimes
a
you can
gauge.
disagree. It's like, yeah, what do you know? You play, you might play it to them. It's like, what do you know? It's like, but okay, I'll take the opinion.
well, another rock story they come into that is for when Bon Jovi recorded "Slippery When Wet." Um, they had from the 12 songs that were on the album, they had about 21 songs, and they didn't know which 21 songs were going to go on the album. So next door to the studio, there was a pizza parlor. So John and Richie went in the pizza parlor and got about 5 kids and brought them in
There
the
you go.
studio, played the 21 songs, and they go, write down your
Which
12.
one you dig?
They wrote down the
Yeah.
12. Like, they weren't
What,
going to.
really? That's how?
They
Nice.
that was
That's
known as
cool.
it was known as the pizza parlor jury. That's what they called it, the pizza
Yeah.
parlor jury. Living on a Prayer wasn't going to originally going to be on the album.
Yeah,
They
that's
didn't
right.
have
Yeah.
Living on a Prayer as the song. Living on a Prayer was going to be like a B side.
That's
It
right.
wasn't it wasn't one of John or
Ah.
Richie's original 12. And like
Yeah.
until they got the pizza parlor jury one, and the kids went that song's our
Yeah.
favorite, and then
Yeah.
that album sold 32 million copies. So like,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think the way that like we look at it as musicians, especially when we're the ones who wrote the music, we kind of see things very differently from the average
course.
listener.
sometimes you can't see the
because
forest for the
we're
trees.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
we're exactly, and
You're too in
we're
it.
kind of we're invested in the music in a different way. We might love something because we have a personal connection to it, or we might not like a song very much because it's too this, it's too that, like just it's too rocky, or
Yeah.
it's too poppy or something. But then from like the average listener's perspective, there might be a hook that you didn't even notice that is actually like
Yeah,
really
of course.
catchy and that
Yep.
resonates with a lot of people.
Spot
So
on, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I think there
I
I
know
think
now.
there is a lot of merit to having like
Fresh ears,
yeah, to having like people listen who are not musicians and
unbiased fresh
Yeah.
ears as well.
yeah, unbiased.
I
fresh
know
ears,
I know
yeah.
from my point of view, like these days now when I do a mix of any band recording wise, I'll send it to Brendan because we've got a relationship now where uh, I trust his ears. Plus, I trust him. Like he'll just say, "No, that's fucking shit." The having my mix bad. He will literally just say, "Like no, no." Like
Thanks, sir. That's good.
I did a
Thanks for
mix. I did a mix. I did a mix about a month ago, and he just went, "The drums sound shit." So like I go, oh,
Those
I
were
got-
some, I still remember how
Yeah.
bad.
Hey,
Yeah.
but that's
And
very
I
important,
have
you know?
shit memory, you know,
Yeah.
Derek.
Yeah.
But I can
Yeah.
still remember how bad that first. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that trust is very important, really, because
Yeah.
like you know, like when I record my albums, also like I've been working with pretty much three people very
Yeah.
closely
Mhm.
through the years. But out of those three, there's also the ones I trust more. And you know, sometimes you gotta let go too, because there's something that you want in your head.
Yeah.
But then you know,
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta let go and like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, right, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So
And I
we
think
become very clingy, right, to our songs.
Yeah. You have
exactly,
to.
and
Your
and
ego
there's
gets
really
involved.
a million, and the thing is, there's a million possibilities of where something can
Yeah.
go, and it could
Exactly.
be just a minor change, and that could make a world of difference.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
it might not occur to you when you're the one
Yeah.
who's written the songs and you spend so much time with the songs.
Yeah, yeah,
It might not occur
Because
to you.
the songs your children like, and someone telling you no,
yeah.
you might want to
Yeah.
change the key or change the line. You're like, fucking, it's
Yeah.
like, it's
It,
like
might, it says a lot
insult
about your parents.
kid. Like you're like, what the wow, jeez, what do you mean?
Yeah, but I think
Well,
it's
that-
also, it's always scary to go away from, to like deviate from what you're familiar with. And once
course.
you've when you're coming into the studio to record a song, I think generally you've spent time with that piece and it's fixed in your brain, like this is what it looks like, this is what it sounds
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So when someone like tries to mess with it, it's very scary because you're so used to it sounding one way that, and
Yeah.
when it's different, it just sounds off to you.
Yeah. No, but the
Yeah.
analogy is like acting. I've read some actors about like you rehearse and you practice and all that, but once the camera starts rolling, you gotta forget about what you've done and just let it.
Yeah.
I see the similar analogy because like I mean speaking to I was a while back, Rafiq, you probably know Rafiq, to your Otai group, Rafiq Rashid. You know,
Rafiq
he told me
Rashid.
yeah, so he told me once like I asked him, hey, why you haven't record your songs? I mean, like he doesn't want to release an album and all that stuff. He told me one thing that probably really haunts him. He says like, what if the song's not finished?
Oh God.
So true, right? Yeah, you know, so
No,
so
no,
he's
no, no.
burdened by that. For me, it's like,
Oh, that's-
okay, I mean, that's just the record version, yeah.
That's
But
a-
that's why it stopped him.
That's,
But that stopped him from recording
Oh,
anything,
God.
you know.
who
So,
cares if the song's not
yeah.
finished? Finish it later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. But that's Rafiq. I mean, like Rafiq needs to be heard, but nobody's heard because there's no right. You can't hear his stuff.
Oh God, like that's he's
Sad,
probably
right?
he's
Yeah.
probably got hundreds of songs too, does he?
Oh yeah, man, brilliant songs
But,
too, man.
like
Yeah, man.
I
had to
always-
sit down with him.
I
once
always
and-
tell everybody, if you're a musician, you cannot be looking back when you finish playing, or even at my age or Asmel's age in your 40s, and not have a passage of tracks recorded that you can be proud of. I'm a sound engineer, but I've played in several bands, and I've got just literally during our break there, I was listening to our old bands tracks because we were talking about my old singer and stuff that I'm proud of, and I just cannot abide or understand as a musician not getting stuff on tape, getting it
Yeah.
done.
But I wonder where this sense of insecurity comes from, because I don't think that, I mean, I think that this is something that does plague a lot of creatives, is in
Yeah.
kind of this innate insecurity towards your own work, where there's just this fear like completely shrouding it and stopping you from really progressing.
It's strange
or-
and weird to
or doing
musicians.
anything
Yeah,
big
it's
with
strange
it.
and weird to
Mhm.
musicians because these people get up on stage and sing their songs in front of human beings, but then they can't put it onto tape.
Yeah.
Like it's such a weird way, such a weird kind of like juxtaposition of their psychology, where they're quite comfortable singing the songs in front of people and taking that,
Yeah.
where someone could literally give them instant criticism, shout that's fucking terrible, but they can't put it on tape where there may never be any feedback from what they've put on the tape. Like it's.
I think maybe
so
there's
weird.
maybe there's this once it's recorded and it's out there, maybe it kind of creates this expectation for it
course,
to amount to something. Like if
Yeah.
maybe like musicians have this fear that I'm going to go through all that effort and put all this stuff out there and nothing's going to happen.
I know what you mean, but
And
I don't think
if you
it's- I
never
don't think-
record, you
yeah.
never have to go through that. You
Yeah,
just
but
go from
It's
show
it's,
to
it's
show.
the permanence of it, lah. It's the
Yeah,
permanence
I
of
was-
this piece, right?
I think I know what you mean, Billy. One of the first things I always had with bands I were in, we always at the inception point of the band, we always had a sit down conversation going like, okay, what does success mean for us for this band? And all the bands I was ever in, we always went, as long as we record music that we can be proud of and play gigs that we're proud of, that's success for us. And we don't care about selling records or getting signed to a label. As long as we create something we're proud of, then we're fine. But I know what you mean. Like once someone's recorded, they think, what if I don't get signed? What if no one likes it? What if that's the whole?
What if I don't sell any?
Yeah, what if
CDs?
it's the multiples of what ifs? Like
I mean,
Where-
yeah. Those
And
things
for
for me,
me-
it's the opposite. I'm not. That notion of success doesn't bother me. For me,
Exactly,
the
but
fact
you're
recording it is a success.
Exactly.
You get your shit together.
But you've established that with yourself initially. For you, success is crafting
true.
the crafting the art, and for us, success was crafting the art. But for a lot of people, success is a whole
It's-
different ball game. Like
Yeah.
and
Expectations.
and I always tell musicians at the start of your career, write down what success means to you. And if you reach that, then everything else is a bonus. If you reach that,
That's true. That's true.
and don't aim it too high, aim it to a level that you'll be happy with. If you reach that level of success, then everything else
Yeah.
is just a bonus. So for me and
I think
Aswell,
that a lot
me and
of-
Aswell, it was just crafting the music, getting it down. We're happy, and then everything else would have been a bonus if we got signed, we would have made money, blah blah blah, bonuses. But as you were saying, like a lot of people,
We need validation.
yeah, can't deal
A
with
lot
it.
of people need validation, and it's kind of always this dilemma because you're creating for yourself, but at the same time, to get where you want to be, you also need validation from other
Absolutely.
people, and it's I think that
It's
can
contradictory,
be that
right?
can and I think that can create a lot of internal conflict for a lot of creatives.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's not exclusive to music,
no.
but
I
yeah.
feel like comedians are probably the worst case of that.
Oh man.
They're the most
Yeah.
paranoid human beings in the world, but who need validation.
Yeah.
Comedians will tell
But the
you themselves-
paranoia makes people
Yeah,
laugh.
yeah.
Get some gigs.
Comedians will tell you the reason they're on stage is because they want validation, but they're the most self-conscious, paranoid human beings you will ever meet as a
Yes.
comedian. Like so,
Yeah.
so yeah.
It's ironic. Yeah. What you do is
But man, being a
private.
comedian seems like one of the most difficult things I could
Whoa,
imagine.
it's
Yeah,
not
okay.
That's
My
absolute
God,
art.
it's
Absolute
scary as fuck.
art, man.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Absolutely
I'm just
horrifying.
thinking, how do people just sit down and write this
I have
shit?
no idea,
Yeah,
like-
even if you're
People like-
naturally funny, writing,
they-
sitting down and writing a joke
Hey,
is a whole other.
they rehearse, they write.
That's-
Like Kwa Jin Han and Chi Ho, they're all my ex-students, and these guys in real life, they're not that funny. You know? But I look at them, I laugh because I know they're funny, but it's hard work. I did an open mic once at Crack House, and Rizal Van Geyser was very encouraging. But I was writing shit down and like that's how they do it, right? But then when they called me up to do a 3-minute piece, I think Rizal just said, just be yourself. So I forgot what I wrote. I just told about my story about wanting to buy beer. And the crowd got it. It's like, wow, I get it.
Well,
So
that's good.
It's tricky. It's similar.
What you were doing was kind of more like Henry Rollins spoken word, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. Like
That's
you
yeah.
you weren't doing bits. You were just doing a spoken
Yeah.
word.
That's true.
And I've seen Henry Rollins do spoken word, and it's fantastic, and it works really well.
true.
Because some of the best comedy you'll ever hear is just hilarious,
Real life. yeah. That's
like which is fantastic.
That's
Like, so, and
Yeah.
Marina's been trying to get me to do open mic comedy for years because, like I like making people laugh and being Irish. It's just
Does
ridiculous.
Marina think you're funny?
Yeah, she's funny.
Oh man.
Just
know.
just about you coming to Malaysia. 3 minutes. Done. Yeah.
It's such a letdown. So it's like it is such a letdown.
Man.
No, because like you see,
I would
Sorry,
never
sorry,
do it. I would never do it because I regard comedy as an art. It's not just
I was
about being
gonna
funny.
say,
It's not
I
about
think
being
that's
funny.
one of the markers. I think that's one of the markers of love, right? Like only your partner will find you funny. for a lot of us, I'm not funny.
humor is very
that's
important.
so-
Yeah.
I'm not funny, so there's very few people in my life who actually find me funny, and those are the people who usually love me the most.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Mhm.
Would you do stand up?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Billie, would you
No.
do stand up? No.
No, I would not.
Have you ever
No,
watched
man.
any stand up thinking like, you know what? I could do it.
No, never.
No, huh?
And to be honest, I don't actually watch a lot of stand up,
No?
but it's not really my preferred, form of comedy. But no, every time I've watched someone do it, I'm always like, man, I could never do that.
No, it is
No
an
way.
art form.
No
Like,
way.
it's a complete art form,
Yeah.
and it should be respected. Like,
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
it's the problem is like too many people think it's way easy to just go up and like I'll just go up and tell a joke.
Yeah,
No.
man.
Not jokes,
It
not about
doesn't-
jokes at all. Yeah.
It seems like the hardest thing to me.
I mean,
Yeah,
you have to be
I
able
don't
to.
know.
Really difficult.
Hey, they're
You
they're
have
very
to be able to
neurotic. A lot. Yeah, a lot of
really
comedians are neurotic.
And you have
And
to,
so much of comedy is about timing as well.
Yeah.
and the
You know,
ability,
you
And
have to
also
get
about
that
timing and
right.
tragedy.
And
Timing
the-
and tragedy.
but you have to be able to read the room. There's psychology
Yeah,
involved. Like,
read the
you have to
room.
walk in and like one of the funniest stories I've ever heard was Larry David, obviously Curb Your Enthusiasm, and wrote Seinfeld. He used to go on stages in New York when he was a stand-up comedian, and apparently he was like a terrible stand-up comedian, like it was awful, like couldn't do it properly. Like, but he used to go on and just go up on stage and just look at the audience and just shake his head and walk off. It's like,
Yeah.
and they go like, and years later they ask him like, why are we doing that? He goes, yeah, they won't be in my comedy. They were just one, just read.
People remember him, right? He was,
Yeah.
you're that
Yeah.
guy who just went on stage.
Yeah.
That's sometimes very important.
Yeah,
People remember you.
he just read the room. He just read the room and instantly went, nah, this is not going to work, and just walked off. Like he just shook his head. So like, yeah, like stand-up's an art, and it should be respected, wholly respected. So
Why are we talking about stand up, huh?
Ah,
don't know.
yeah, sitting down right now, man. Yeah. No, but I think we're back to Billie. I think what she was talking about was I think that the sense that what we do is very private when we write songs. It's very
Yeah.
personal. But then you gotta lay this out in public, like for all
Yeah.
to see. And that's very daunting because people can say good things, bad things, being indifferent sometimes
Yeah.
also.
the,
Yeah.
the center point was the recording.
Yeah.
Musicians
Yes,
not being able to
but
record their stuff.
But I will add to that, like I've found that, like as a songwriter, something that I've struggled with, or I especially struggled with when I was starting to write songs, was allowing myself to actually get personal.
Okay.
And yeah, that was difficult for me because even though I'm someone who, like I said, I've always kept a diary since I was 13 years old, and that's where I would write all my deepest, darkest secrets, and no one's allowed to read my diaries. I should probably burn them. But despite that, when it came to writing songs, especially at the start, I found it very difficult to be vulnerable. So I would write, like Emperors, more about like politics and greed
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
understand, yeah.
Third
And
person, yeah.
yeah, and Sea
What-
Salt Slide was quite metaphorical, about like the idea of, one of a place or a situation or a person that was comforting at one point becoming unsafe or not offering the same kind of comfort as before. So I would hide a lot behind metaphors at the beginning, and I think I still really appreciate metaphors. I admire writers like Neil Young and even like Bjork and people like that who incorporate a lot of metaphors into their writing, but they do have a lot of heart in there too, and that's where I'm trying to head towards. It's
Yeah.
striking that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So of course,
now it's quite difficult to do that, and I think as I keep writing, I'm moving closer towards where I want to be.
Good.
And because I'm becoming more comfortable with expressing myself in this medium, and I think I'm getting older and I give less shits. Actually, I
course.
think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of it as
yeah.
well.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Like.
it's
That's-
just
That's definitely a good one.
Billy, that's one of the perks. It's one of the
Just
perks.
giving less.
Yeah.
Definitely one
All
of
of
the
it.
perks.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy. Since we're talking about stand-up, Eddie Murphy once said, you don't meet any old fool. Because
Mm.
people go. That's why society appreciate elders, right? Because
Yeah, it's one of
man,
the
you made it.
perks.
You lived this long. Yeah, man. You don't give a shit. Yeah.
On a Facebook comment last night, Madden called me an old fuck because because we were talking about the fact that I met Eddie Vedder years ago, like, and Vedder dedicated a song to a group of friends of mine, like, and Madden goes, "You're just an old fuck." I go, "Well, yeah, but there's perks with being old, and getting to meet Eddie Vedder was one of the perks." So like, there's perks of being old. Embrace them.
I mean, there's a
Use them.
thesaurus of the word old, right? It can be mature. There can be variety of details.
No, no, no.
Mature.
Not when
Yeah,
it
so
comes.
Billy,
not
I'm
when it
not
comes
saying
to-
that you just got to be old. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
The word old, mature, and men don't go in the same sentence together. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Men are
old
different.
man,
Yeah,
and there's
I have hope for the newer generations of men. I think as they
Absolutely
grow
not.
older, they will mature.
absolutely not.
Thank you.
No, no comment.
They're
No
even
comment.
more man children
no
than
comment,
we
thank
are.
you.
Like, dear God, oh, they're all these are internet children. Like, how are they going to be mature? They, there's no chance for them. We were bad enough.
Talking about the new generation.
Your son, yeah, Brendan. I've got hope for your son. He's gonna be fine.
Your
Like,
son.
My son, no.
he's gonna be fine. Like,
No, la.
okay, yeah, la.
Why are we talking
But
about
I'm
this?
I'm the youngest here, though. You guys should be concerned about my son. I am the youngest here, so whenever I
No,
do
but-
have a son, which
yeah,
will be
no,
a long time from now.
no, exactly. Brendan's son's gonna be fine.
Who
and
knows if this
your son's gonna
world
be
will even-
your son's gonna be extra fine. Like, Brendan's son's gonna be fine. Your son's gonna be okay. Like,
No, remember what I said earlier. How our attitudes or song is a reflection of our parenting kind of like compass. If you have a song,
In
you're too
songs?
precious to let. Yeah. So if you got songs and like, no, I won't let this song out. Nobody can listen this. That means you maybe as a parent you don't let your kid go out. But maybe if you got a song like, yeah, I don't give a fuck with this song. Yeah, let a song can go. Maybe you're more open. I always felt that way. I mean, I treat my songs again like kids. I got so many of them, and there are few that feel left out, right? If you don't play songs on stage and you leave them out, right? There's a term they call it orphan songs.
Asma, you don't have kids. You got a
Oh.
fucking village.
Yeah. Sorry, what? Huh?
You got
What
a
is it?
village. It's not kids. You got a.
I've got a
fucking
village, yeah.
Jesus
I'm-
Christ. You got
I'm a
generations.
Malay
Of,
guy, right?
you got. You're. You got a generational
franchise.
with you. Like, it's fucking.
Yeah, lost count my kids.
Like,
yeah.
your songs have kids. That's how fucking long you've had it. Like,
Yeah, I gotta know my songs as parenting skills.
yeah, you need to find out what your songs are up to. Like,
What up to tonight? Yeah.
yeah.
But it's interesting. Yeah, interesting question there, man. Yeah, man. Where we at? Yeah, man. But anyway, your album. So I mean, like, how do you feel when it was done? Do you feel like was it great? Sort of like, oh man, I'm finally out.
It was a big sigh of relief for sure, because I think recording and especially planning the album launch was very stressful, and it was the first time we were doing it, so
Yeah,
it was a huge undertaking, and I think I couldn't believe it when we finally had an album, because again, going back to the girl I was just 10 years ago, or a little over 10 years ago, I never would have imagined that I would have my own album. And
That's a success.
and all the experiences that led to that and that came after that are just things I never imagined I would have. So in that sense, it was quite surreal to have an album. And I will say the album launch, which we spent months planning, that was one of the best nights of my life.
Yeah.
It was like, honestly, it was months and months of planning. It almost felt like a wedding. You know how they say, like, the wedding, you plan and plan for months,
It is.
but then you shouldn't, like, the couple who's getting married shouldn't have to do anything during the wedding except for get married. So it was kind of like that for the band. Like we spent months planning, and then on the night it went smoothly. And
Where
leading
was
up
it?
to the album launch, every single thing that could have gone wrong went wrong. Like
fees
up
long.
to the venue being canceled like 2 days before the launch date.
Where was it?
Oh,
Where was it
shit.
originally supposed to be?
I don't know if I'm at liberty to say. No, so it was supposed to be at the B, and then it got canceled. And
Oh.
then
You have no problem like saying that we won't have to delete that out. Fuck.
and then we had to move it to Black Box, but that all happened like pretty much the day before the show or something.
Oh yeah, I
And-
remember that. Yeah.
I remember reading.
Yeah.
I remember this. Yeah.
Can you imagine, like we were planning like the day before the launch, everything's gonna be set, we're gonna be like drinking by the pool, we're just gonna relax. Not a chance. Not a chance. Up to the very last moment we were stressing and trying to like tie all these loose ends together.
Did,
Yes.
I got a call that day.
Did you?
I'm nearly sure you called me that day then to do sound because like it all had gone
Maybe.
horribly
Yeah,
wrong. Like, and I was like, oh
that's
no, I'm working, but
possible.
who ended up mixing? Because I think I maybe have sent them over.
We had the guy. We had Josh from No
Joshua.
Black Tie.
Yeah.
Joshua. Yeah, he was working at No Black Tie at the time, so I think we got him to do the sound. But yeah, everything leading up to the album launch was completely haywire. Like, cause when the B got canceled, one of our sponsors was through the B. Like they had an agreement with the B. So then we lost our alcohol sponsor.
That's right.
And then
yeah.
suddenly we had to come up with all the alcohol by ourselves, which we managed to do. But still, we had to do that. Like we had to figure all of that out the day before the show. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Even trying to get the opening acts set, so many of the people that like we had been thinking about were not available on that date. They were out of town, or they were like not they already had a show or something like that. So it took us like a long time to even get the opening act settled. So it was just like very difficult every step of the way planning the launch. But then the launch itself went amazingly.
Well, that's good.
It was
As long as
it
it
was
went well.
incredible. Yeah, it went swimmingly. It was smooth. I didn't have to do anything except for perform and then get drunk, and it was perfect. Yeah,
Nice.
Plus,
yeah,
plus you've
and
got
there were
Damn,
and the
torpedoes.
turnout. The turnout was so much better than I ever could have imagined. I think I had nightmares about like there being like 5 people at my album launch or something.
Oh,
And
man,
No
that is
lah.
damn.
I was like,
Not
"Oh,
5 people.
What if nobody comes to my album launch?" But then
Sorry.
it turned out amazingly.
Plus
Best
you-
night of my life. It was
plus
great.
you release new art out into the world. The ether now has your music out there, like, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm glad that I've done that. I have that.
Exactly.
And it's not going to be the last one. Like,
No,
we're
of
definitely
course
going to
not.
record again.
Yeah, I was just
And-
gonna ask when's the next one.
Yeah, because
Well, I will say that I think this year and a little bit of last year, but mostly this year has been quite tough on us individually. So for a while there, I was like really beating myself up about the fact that we haven't been more productive as a band like this past year or so. But especially 2020, it's been mentally taxing on everyone.
I think
And-
2020 allows everybody kind of just to hit the reset button, unless you're
Yeah.
unless you're
Yeah,
these
but
two,
channel.
unless you're these two
Yeah.
dickheads who seem to be just
With
really
fuel.
continue to release music like lunatics, but these two are
Yeah.
anomalies. Like beside us, like
No, but
We've got
it's
good
great.
people.
Feed on the negativity. The world throws shit at me, and I'll make it into dung, and I'll grow a good
but like
plant.
you're
But it's
you're,
great
you're,
if
you're
you-
quite okay think, yeah, I think
Of course,
next year we'll be okay. Like don't beat yourself up.
Yeah,
writing
I mean,
dark.
it's great if you can do that. And sometimes it's about your support system. Sometimes it's about where you're at mentally.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stars just
Yeah.
align.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to kind of be kind to myself about not putting too much pressure on myself about music, because
Absolutely.
what happens then is that thinking about music stresses me out. So and that's kind of what's been happening this year, and I don't like that. So I've allowed myself to kind of pull back a little bit, and like I said, I've appreciated getting to spend time with myself in different ways. I've been, like I said, I've been exploring poetry, and I think each of the guys as well have been, you know, like Sohail is doing his a lot of videos on his own. He's developing his channel, his Instagram and all that. David and Ruben are also doing their own things, but after the storm clears a little bit, then we'll be ready to come back together and do some more recording, because we do have some new songs that we just kind of need to arrange together, and then I would be really excited to hit the studio again.
Cool.
And I think now, having had the experience of recording the first time around, doing it a second time will be different. We'll be armed with more knowledge, and we'll be able to kind of approach things differently. So that'll be
Yep.
nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
That'll
And also,
happen.
I'm only 25, so I think I need to cool my jets a little bit.
You're at the peak, man. 25 is the peak. Yeah. No, it's okay. I think it's again about leveraging on. I mean, thematically, who knows? I mean, where the songs bring you and the times and experience you guys been in. Might be a darker album, or it might be I mean, our works of art are also a response to our times.
Jim
So
Morrison.
Yeah,
Jim Morrison had
absolutely.
7 albums by the time he was 27. Billie.
Sorry?
Jim Morrison had 7 albums by the time he was 27.
then
That's
he
all.
Yeah, but
That's all I'm saying.
don't kaput.
I'm only
no,
joking.
I'm not saying that like we're gonna stop. I'm saying that sometimes it's good to, to not, if you make it a rat race, then you're gonna lose sight of, what
Especially
of
if
the
you
joy
are,
in creating
especially if you
music.
are making it a
joy.
rat race. If you are making it a rat race, you will definitely lose the joy. It'll become
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely
It'll
you'll
become
lose the
McDonald's.
joy, and
It'll
no
become
one
McDonald's.
wants that.
Yeah, it'll become McDonald's.
Yeah, and no one wants that. And I think in this day and age, it can be easy to do that because it's the era of Spotify and of being Insta famous and all that. And I think that can kind of cloud our vision a little bit.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it
Absolutely.
becomes chasing the likes and chasing the growth. And when we're talking about growth, it's not like personal growth or musical growth. It's like the numbers
I should
growth,
be chasing the song.
beating the algorithm and all that. And as much as, we have to adapt to our times, we should, but we shouldn't let that, I don't know, drown out the thing that actually makes music what it is,
The
the soul of it.
The song should always be first. Always. The song should
and the
always
joy.
be first. The song should be the first thing. Everything else should be everything else should be secondary to the song.
Yeah, not the
Everybody
album,
else-
not the whatever, the
No,
song.
everything
Yeah.
else should play support to the song.
Song.
The likes,
But
the Instagrams, everything else. The song should be the one.
exactly.
So
And just to add to what Asmil was saying about how the times influence the music,
yeah.
I think also who you are influences your music a lot. And I really, I do appreciate a lot about this year, like getting to spend a lot more time with myself, and the guys are getting to do the same thing. And I think personal growth will always have an impact on your music. And when you get in touch with yourself more, and when you go through changes or you evolve as a person, that is going to influence your art, because you can't separate yourself from your art. And so I think our next venture, our next musical venture will probably sound different from our first album.
I'm thinking it's going to be less outwardly and more introspective by the sounds of what you're saying. Like you're starting to get more comfortable
I'm a
with
very
your own thoughts.
introspective person.
Yeah, but like, as you're saying, your initial songs were more political and more outward thinking. From what you're saying, it's going to be more introspective, especially with your
I think
especially
so.
with your poetry and stuff like that. That's going to obviously bleed into your actual lyric writing now. So there's no way you're going to be able to avoid the two. You'll not be able to separate the two. They are going to become sort of as one. Like when you especially when you start writing lyrics again for your new songs, they are with your poetry. They are going to become very very introspective, which is good.
And you know, some of my poetry might become songs.
Literally,
Anyway.
I was about to ask you that question. Are we going to see some of your poetry like incorporated into a new song or something or anything like that?
Yeah, it could be. I think it's just a matter of
you're open to that.
trying. I'm open to anything when it comes to music. Really.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because
and I've enjoyed.
It's no longer your diary then. You're more open to that. You're actually people seeing your inner thoughts then. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm still not as a songwriter. I'm still not like you know, like Taylor Swift's approach to writing might be a little bit more literal. I use that as an example.
You're going to be using metaphors.
She wears short skirts. I wear t-shirts. Like I'm not going to be very literal in my songwriting, but I think it's a careful balance, right?
Of course.
And you can be selective. It's your choice. Yeah.
Metaphors are good. Metaphors are good. Everybody likes a good metaphor. Like so, it's going to be okay.
I like a good metaphor, and I want to connect with my own writing, and I want to feel proud of what I've written. And so far with my poetry, that's how I feel. I mean, I'm not going to say it's fantastic, but it's for what it is. For me, just like starting out and trying to write some poems, I'm happy with it, and that's what's important to me. And I'm keen to let it go wherever it will go. And even some of the lyrics that I've written this year, I'm a lot happier with them than like what some of the stuff I've written in the past. So I'm excited to let them become something.
Good.
Yeah.
There's obviously going to be maturity in your songwriting. It will grow. So.
Yeah. It's a given. You will grow. Yeah.
Okay, Billie. I think we've come to the end. So like, usually we give our guests the last minute to just put out their Instagrams, put out their Spotify's, put out their Facebooks.
That's funny, la.
Yeah.
After what we just spoke about.
I know.
just some plugs.
Just some plugs at the end. The irony of all that, but like.
And also your message, la.
Yeah, your message, like
what are your plans?
Most importantly, your message and plans.
Yeah, so you've got a minute just to see it for the floor.
Am I supposed to plug now? Am I supposed to plug all this stuff
do your
now?
thing, la. Just speak whatever.
It is whatever you want to say. It is. You don't have to plug. Do whatever you want to do.
You want to make this your first attempt at your stand-up
career?
Yeah. This could be it.
Tell us a joke.
Oh God, I don't have any jokes. I don't have any jokes. Yeah, and especially if you ask me to tell a joke.
Yeah, now it's just like
what is a joke? I don't know. Yeah, but anyway.
Deep.
Okay.
No. I just say it's deep. That's deep. Okay, go.
Okay, the floor is yours, Billie.
Well, if you want to, I'm gonna plug my socials, just because. Yes. So if you want to find me on Instagram, you can find me at Billie Azalea, Billie Azalea, and my band is BBTNM Band on Instagram, and Billie Blue and the Nowhere Men on Facebook, and we're also on Spotify and YouTube at Billie Blue and the Nowhere Men. So you can come and snoop around.
All right.
If you like. Yeah.
And your plans for the next year or so, if there is any, if we're still fucking exist in this world.
Yeah, if we still exist in this world, well, I really want to record. that's
Cool.
what I want to do. Yeah, my
Cool.
plan is to record probably singles this time around, just so we can, even though recording an album takes so much time, I'm eager to just like put something new out there. So
Yep.
yeah,
Get it done.
so it's all about just finding the right people to work with and yeah, getting everyone together, I think.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, this has been fun. Thank you for having me
Billie Blackstone.
for hours and hours.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. So, like, thank you very much. So, the Waiting Room number 21, Billie Blackstone podcast. We are out. Thank you.